Okay, so what I do then every second or, well, every third, probably every third week, then I will just upload a recording that you can listen to, and then in preparation for the following week live. So we won't be live every single week, but definitely most of the weeks. So I hope that is okay with everyone. Okay, the first question. So anybody feel free to start talking. I don't expect you to put your hands up. You can just unmute and start talking. If you all start talking at once, which is highly unlikely, we'll just stop and wait for one person. But my first question to you is, and it's going to sound like a really strange question, but what does education mean to you? So what is, I'm going to type the question in the chat. What does education mean to you?
I'll start.
Thank you, Tony.
Pleasure. I think it's a good question because I kind of became this, and I'm doing it, but I haven't had the opportunity to reflect on it. So I don't. One of the things I was considering when we point of reviews and like pushing myself to reflect was realizing the relevance and the appropriateness of myself getting older and the students still remaining the same age every year they come.
That is quite a big, yes.
So when the first years don't know about something and you realize, okay, I'm losing, there's a huge generation gap. So I think it's interesting because I was saying to myself that I need to ensure that I am relevant and that I am able to identify and observe or understand the people that I am speaking to and navigating. So navigating their path. So I think just understanding that there's a gap has made me realize that I want to be relevant in my delivery of conversation and content, because I'm not always a subject matter expert. I mean, you're delivering content, but the content is new the next year and the students have a different perspective. So
Yeah,
I don't know, does
right.
that even answer the question? But it's like they know things about certain things that I don't even know. I'm just facilitating their unpacking and their framing of the view of a content or a topic or something. So I think when I was reading that article of the link I posted, it's that one that says putting philosophy into practice, and it's got that it's like a table where you're either a liberal philosopher or a progressive
Oh,
philosopher or
yes. Yeah, yeah,
behaviorist
yeah.
or humanist. And I love that we have some social scientists here as well, because actually we are all in the social science and when you are dealing with people. And so I think just having reading those descriptions, I was like, I think the reason and my understanding of why I want to do education is to make sure that people know where to find information that they need. Like, be sure,
Okay.
even to myself, do I go to the right sources? Am I able to, get together the right information to present something that is true? I don't know if that even answers the question,
No,
but
no, no, no. You definitely answered. No, that's, I mean, yeah, I'm picking up a lot here. So I mean, in, in summary, well, for you, education is a two-way. It's a two-way thing.
mm,
It's whoever, it's a facilitating relationship really of, and you
mm,
facilitating what you know, or you guiding your perspective of what you know. So
mm,
it's definitely two-way, and I 100% agree with that. And the other thing that you're saying is that as an educator, it is definitely our responsibility to source reliable data and sources of data.
mm.
So yeah. Sorry, I think I interrupted you. Were you still busy? Sorry, Jamie.
No, I wasn't. I think I stopped because it's there's so much to it and it's got to still be distilled. Um, yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
reading this module. Like, I think by the end of doing some of these activities, I'll have more of an idea of the answer to your question.
Yes. No. That's 100%, 100% fine. Well, thank you very much. Um, Calvin is saying why education philosophy is it only focused on theoretical discussions? No, Calvin. No, in actual fact, we do have to unpack the theory, and we do need to understand the elements of the theory. But it is I would say a tenth of what we actually do in this module. So the theory is just to give us something to talk about and to unpack. But the 90% of our discussions, as well as you'll see your assignments, everything is all about implementation. So um, you'll get to understand the elements of, let's say, the idealism, philosophy of idealism, or the philosophy of analytics, or whatever. But once you understand the elements or the core elements of it, we will then discuss how we practically apply that in your lecturing. And the thing with philosophy, and you're going to find this semester, you're going to read and you're going to read and you're going to read and you're going to kind of get to the point of, so when does this philosophy stop? How do I quantify it? And that's why people who have not really studied in the humanities, or who aren't, they're wired more scientifically or mathematically, they're way more left brain. It's difficult for them to they find this module difficult simply because there's no wrong or right. There's no steps to follow. There's no definite boundaries. The boundaries actually between all the philosophies are very blurred. so so my aim is not really to make sure that you know the core elements of each philosophy at all. My aim with this module is that you will understand your philosophy, and that you'll understand the 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 groundwork of it, the kind of the foundation of it. Where did that come from, and how did I get here? What is important to me and what isn't? So I hope that answers your question. Jamie, thank you for that. I liked your definition. It's definitely it shows that you're thinking. I mean, you could have just said education is transferring of knowledge. But yeah, you definitely had a little more of a deeper answer there. So thank you for that. Anybody else like to give? What do you think? What is education to you? And it's going to be different for everyone. As like again, there is no right and wrong answer here. Okay, nobody else. I don't want to be that translucent. Okay, you're gonna talk. Liso, thank you so much. All right, we'll give one more answer chance for Liso, and then I'll move on to another question because I know it's uncomfortable. I know exactly how you're feeling. Liso, thank you very much. What is
Hi.
education to you?
I've never really thought about what education is. Honestly, I think the way that you phrased the question, it got me thinking a lot, and especially hearing Jimmy, the way that she explained everything. But coming into the space of lecturing, I guess, because I always thought that education is about getting skill and applying the skill and whatnot. But looking at it and how multifaceted it is, the dynamics that defines it, and especially the fact that you have, especially when it comes to lecturing, you've got these people, these young people that are coming in, and you sort of have to provide a framework of thinking. But you look at these people and you realize that even though you are coming in, you initially you thinking that I'm the expert, but you come into class
Mm,
and you realize how unique each individual and the classroom is, and you walk away feeling like, okay, there are parts where I feel like I'm learning something, even though I'm coming in as a teacher or a lecturer. So it just to me it's some sort of a very complicated and multifaceted journey that challenges you, and especially when you look at how the South African education system is constantly changing, how they putting in these policies and principles to say these are the kind of learners or teachers that we want to produce at the end of the day, how they fit in into the society at large. I think it just opens up you so much to say, okay, where do I fit in? And your understanding of education, it evolves, it changes every day. What you thought you knew yesterday, you realize with a new group of learners that actually this is not, you can't come in with an umbrella approach into this thing. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I'm like, okay, this is just a very complicated journey on its own. It's multifaceted and it challenges you, even though you might come in and say, oh, okay, I'm an expert in this field. I'm an expert in environmental management. I think I know geology and I think I'm a better teacher, I'm better equipped to teach geography. But when you're coming into classroom, there are a lot of dynamics into the education system, things that challenges you personally, things that challenges where you stand personally as well, to say, oh, okay, I can't just come in and say I know the content. There are just a lot of things embedded in education. So I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, you're doing really well. You're doing really well. Lisa, it sounds like you've had, and I love the way you explain it as a journey that challenges you. I think that's a lovely definition of education, because if it is obviously, first of all, it is a journey, because you never really, there's no start and end really. I mean, from the day you're born till the day you no longer on this earth, you are being educated. Um, and if it's not challenging you, then I kind of like want to say, is it really education? So well done. I love that. Um, and yes, the fact that you say also your perspectives change all the time, because you do sometimes think you're the expert, and when you walk into a classroom you realize that you are learning. And I think that's what Jamie also pointed out, that it is a two-way thing. It is, education is not one way. It's not the the sage on the stage sort of old classic kind of traditional way of teacher knows everything. Yeah, and it does evolve every day. I 100% agree with you. And I think South African education, I think if we could just, I know it's difficult and it's probably not going to be possible, but if we could just start with the concept and the realization that we cannot do one size fits all. And you said it, there's no umbrella approach to education. So well done. Thank you. That was a very insightful answer. Thank you very much for that. Calvin says education provokes critical thinking, an essential skill for navigating ever-changing world. Yes, Calvin, definitely. I like that. I think if we are not developing critical skills amongst our learners and students, um, then we are definitely not preparing them for the world out there. Definitely not the global world, yeah, and ever changing, as you quite correctly said, Calvin. So thank you very much, everyone. Those are good answers. So I'm going to stretch you a bit further, sort of like in the last 10 minutes. If you say, if we're now looking at what we think about what education means to us. Um, Good question, Calvin. How do we define? I like that question actually, because my next question was going to be, what is the purpose of education? And I think your question, how do we define an educated person, leads very well into that. So let's discuss that question. I love that question. How do we define an educated person?
Oh my God.
You can do this, Lisa.
Oh no, I didn't even realize that my mic was still on.
You see, yeah, it's not all in you.
I don't know. Calvin's question just took me. I remember meeting this lady. She said to me that she studied something else and she got a job in a completely different field. And then the way that she defined education or being educated, let me say being educated, she was like, she realized that what she was taught was the ability to critically think, to evaluate situations, and I guess come up with appropriate responses, or so to speak, or on like how to address situations, how to sort of so according to her, she realized that okay, even though I had studied something else and I got a job into something completely different, and I excelled in something that I didn't have educational training in, it made her realize that education, it wasn't really about um, being taught a particular skill, but it's something that it sort of opens you up as a person generally, because the way that you would step into situation and how you'd respond to certain things as an educated person is kind of different to someone that we can then say this person is not educated. So so that's what I was
Okay.
thinking that yeah.
If no, I hear what you're saying. So, and maybe we can ask somebody, because now you kind of touched on something else. You've mentioned as opposed to a non-educated person. So, are we saying that an educated person is someone? Are we making the distinction that an educated person is only someone who has a degree or some form of formal studying post school? Okay, Jamie says no. Who else?
I think I'd love Jamie to sort of unpack her answer. Not that I
Well, it's a brilliant question, because in my day, and I mean, we're talking back many years, but an educated person was only someone with a degree. But we
yes.
we have moved on since then, thank goodness. And
Mm,
I mean, I like your one answer about an educated person is someone who can respond appropriately.
yeah.
Again, we would have to define who decides if it's appropriate or not. And um,
Exactly.
yeah,
It depends who you're talking to.
exactly.
I think
So
a lot
now,
of, if I
yes,
can,
Jamie, no,
sorry.
carry on.
So if so you there's it's been mentioned there by Calvin about you got qualifications and education. So I think there's a difference between you got these qualifications that qualify you on paper almost. Because I had a laugh. They asked me when I was doing my master's, like, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do this master's? And I was like, just keep my job, just to keep going, That's all I
Yes.
need, the piece of paper. So, but I think even in how we teach nowadays is to allow students to be comfortable in realizing that they don't know, but also comfortable in acquiring information that they feel they do need to know and forming an opinion based on their analysis and their gathering. Because I mean, I've got small children, and we asked what that WhatsApp chat AI guy, what's his name?
Oh yeah.
In your
The
WhatsApp Meta AI about
yeah,
something, and it gave the
yeah.
completely incorrect answer. And I said, okay, now let's do some thorough research, and you'll have a laugh when I tell you what we were researching. But the ability to feel confident in questioning and not and gathering, and then articulating yourself in a gathered information, not just one answer, which I think is different to previous generations. So yeah, I don't think it's defined by, but I can't remember what the actual question was that I said no to, but it was like, no, I think there's
No, I agree. It's not defined by qualifications.
Yeah.
No.
Also, I'd just like to add, I'm reading Calvin's text. Jimmy, when someone adding on to when you're saying that someone asked you why are you doing your MSc, and you just sometimes education allows us to develop appropriate language for let's say for a particular field or particular whatever. I would say then that's when we would then use the measure of education, of whether you are educated or not, because if you go and get that particular certificate or whatever, you get trained, you get the appropriate language to like the proper jargon of that particular field. And then when you engage with your peers, then we would say, that person is well spoken, that person is well educated, because that person can appropriately address us. So I don't know.
Yeah. Certification, being qualified versus being educated. I mean, it's yeah.
Totally different. Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, if you go into these really rural communities, and you engage with people um, who definitely do not view the world the way you do, or definitely don't have the same perspectives. I mean, there it gets, like, are they then, because they don't maybe speak like you, or they can't um, sort of like respond the way you do to certain external stimulus, whatever, does that make them then non-educated, is going to be my follow-up question. Maria says, I think it's a very broad question and no one would have to look at a lot of factors. Yes, I agree. First, one would have to look at the definition given of education as well as the purpose, and then characteristics of educated person. Completely agree with you, Maria. And you're going to find that this semester is pretty much like this. It's unpacking your assumptions and your perspectives and maybe some of your bias, but that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. So Maria says it's more of a certification versus a knowledge issue. So again, I'm going to take you back to engaging with maybe the leader of a tribe, or like someone really in the rural areas, or I mean even in the Amazon jungle kind of thing. Are those people not educated? Are they? So if in other words, if we are going to look at the definition of an educated person as being someone who can think critically, respond appropriately, within what? I think I'm basically asking. Yes, they would be educated. I agree with Jamie. They educated within their kind of like community, what they need in order to thrive and survive. So yeah, it's that you've definitely given some amazing answers, some answers that I have not heard before. So thank you very much for engaging. Um, yeah, Calvin, combination of certificates, skills, knowledge. Yes. And I think, Calvin, I 100% agree with you. And I think we would have to add, relevant to, yeah, to your context, I suppose. Um, yeah, values. Yeah, you could definitely add values to that equation. But this has been great. So there was quite a few more questions that I wanted to ask, but I'm going to put them onto your in an announcement. You can just kind of think about them. The other questions are really: do you think that education shapes society, or is it the other way around? Does society shape education? And then I just had a question that was really more related to South African education, and that is, how can we actually achieve education equity in South Africa? Is it something that is possible to achieve? But I will post those 2 questions or 3 questions, and then we can maybe have a look at them next week. I don't want to go over time. So just in closing, any questions or comments or anything as just as a last kind of like before we end tonight? No? Okay. Well, I really, really, really did enjoy this engagement with you. I want to say thank you that you honestly all made your voices heard, whether it was verbally, with sound, or in the chat. I honestly do appreciate this kind of engagement. So we're off to a good start. I think this is going to be an exciting semester. And please, anytime, any questions, anytime whatever I put on your announcements doesn't make sense or whatever, please email me. I did put my email address in the previous announcement. And yes, it was amazing to meet all of you. I promise I'm going to sort out my camera so that next week, Wednesday, we can be live. We can see each other. But yeah, so we'll definitely have a live session next week, Wednesday. And then the Wednesday after that will be just a recording. But I will also put that pacer onto your announcements. Yes, Jamie.
Sorry, is it every Wednesday evening or is it a bi-weekly? I think I missed that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. So the problem is that I haven't received any due dates yet from Rosebank College with regards to when your assignments, etc. due. So once I get that, I'll be able to send you a more precise kind of like pacer and when we will have live and when. So it won't be exactly every 2 weeks. There will be times we will, like 2 weeks in a row, that we'll have a live session, and then 1 week a recording, and then maybe 2 weeks live. But it will always be on a Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And if it's a recording, then what I'll do is I'll make sure that it's ready at 7 o'clock so that you can still, use that hour to listen and, prepare for the following week. So I think there are 18, if I remember counting correctly, there are 17 or 18 weeks. And of those, I need to have 12 live sessions. So it's going to be every third or sometimes maybe every fourth one that will not be live, if that helps. Yeah, great. Yes, and I will always record the live sessions as well. I actually can stop this recording now.